The first humans who land on Mars may already be dead. Not from the landing, not from the cold, not from the radiation baking the surface of a planet that lost its magnetic shield billions of years ago. From the moment they realize they cannot leave. That is the part nobody says out loud. That is the detail buried beneath the launch day excitement and the mission announcements and the romantic vision of humanity planting flags on another world. Everyone discusses getting there. Nobody discusses honestly what happens when the people standing on that red dirt look up and understand, truly understand, that the planet beneath their boots may never release them. This is not pessimism. This is not a scenario designed to discourage the dream. This is what the actual physics says. This is what the biology says. This is what the math of a Mars mission produces when you read it without the parts quietly removed before public release. The journey destroys them before they arrive. 7 to 9 months inside a metal vessel smaller than most apartments. Same small group of people. No escape, no rescue if something fails. No option to turn around once they pass the point where returning costs more fuel than continuing forward. No emergency landing in deep space exists. No hospital, no resupply, no help of any kind. A fire halfway to Mars kills everyone. A hull breach kills everyone. A failed oxygen system kills everyone. The distance between the crew and any possible assistance grows larger every hour, and every solution to every problem must come from whatever they carried with them. But the vessel itself is not the worst part of the journey. The radiation is. Earth's magnetic field absorbs the constant particle bombardment from the sun and deep space. Remove that shield, and the human body absorbs doses that damage DNA, accelerate cancer development, and attack brain tissue in ways science has not fully measured yet. Researchers studying long-duration deep space exposure believe astronauts will arrive at Mars with measurable cognitive changes already in progress. Memory degradation, processing speed reduction, neurological damage that does not fully reverse. They land already broken in ways they cannot feel yet. Mars then begins its own work on what remains. The atmosphere is over 100 times thinner than Earth's. Breathable oxygen is absent. Temperatures at night collapse below -100 degrees Celsius. Dust storms large enough to consume entire continents appear without reliable warning and persist for months, burying solar panels, infiltrating seals, grinding into every mechanical joint with a patience that has been perfecting itself for billions of years before anything human arrived to experience it. The surface receives direct solar radiation that Earth's magnetic field would have deflected entirely. Living on Mars means living underground or inside shielded structures for the majority of every day. It means never stepping outside without a suit, never feeling air, never receiving a single sensory signal that the human nervous system spent hundreds of thousands of years evolving to need. And the gravity begins its quiet destruction immediately. 38% of Earth's gravity. Not zero, not full, something in between that the human body has no evolutionary history with. Muscle tissue wastes faster than exercise can rebuild it. Bone density drops in ways that accelerate beyond what weightlessness produces because the partial gravity creates different mechanical stresses on skeletal structure. The cardiovascular system recalibrates to a lighter world. Vision changes as fluid pressure in the skull shifts permanently. Years on Mars does not weaken the body enough to make returning home difficult. It weakens the body enough to make returning home impossible. Not uncomfortable, not requiring rehabilitation. Impossible. A cardiovascular system that cannot handle Earth gravity. Bones that would fracture under their own weight in a 1G environment. A body that Mars has quietly remade into something that belongs to Mars and nowhere else. The planet traps them from the inside while they are still focused on surviving the outside. Assume everything holds. Assume the body adapts. Assume every system functions and every person remains psychologically intact. Assume the mission reaches the point where returning home becomes the objective. Leaving Mars is harder than landing on it. Most people assume landing is the engineering problem. It is not. Launch is. Getting off another planet requires a functioning rocket, correctly manufactured fuel, flawless execution of a launch sequence, and perfect orbital timing relative to Earth's position. All of this after years of operating in one of the most mechanically punishing environments any machine has ever been placed inside. The fuel cannot come from Earth. The mass is prohibitive. The plan being seriously developed involves manufacturing rocket fuel directly on Mars from local resources before the crew arrives. Automated machines sent ahead of the humans would produce methane and liquid oxygen from the Martian atmosphere and store it waiting. If those machines fail, there is no backup, no emergency shipment, no alternative supply arriving on the next flight. Communication between Earth and Mars takes between 5 and 20 minutes one way, depending on orbital positions. A single exchange takes close to an hour. A rescue mission, if one could even be assembled and launched, takes 7 to 9 months to arrive. The astronauts standing next to a failed fuel production system would calculate all of this themselves in real time. They would understand exactly what the numbers mean. They would know they are not going home. And they would know it with the complete clarity of people who understand the physics well enough to have been sent there in the first place. Then the place itself works on what remains of their minds. Human beings evolved inside living systems. Wind through trees, rain on warm ground, animals moving across open space. The thousand sensory signals a living planet sends constantly to a nervous system that developed over hundreds of thousands of years specifically to receive them. Mars sends none of those signals. No living thing visible in any direction. No sound except machinery and wind moving dust across a landscape unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. The sky the wrong color. The light arriving with the wrong quality. The silence between mechanical sounds containing absolutely nothing. No insects, no birds, no water, no biological movement of any kind. Isolation studies on Earth show consistent psychological deterioration over time, even in controlled, comfortable conditions. Antarctica crews experience depression, paranoia, sleep breakdown, interpersonal conflict that exceeds normal resolution capacity. A creeping detachment from reality that requires active management the longer isolation continues. Antarctica has a sky that looks like home. Mars does not. And if something catastrophic happened on Earth while they were standing on that surface, a war, a collapse, a disaster that fractured normal communication channels, they would receive fragmented, delayed messages describing events already months in the past. They would be standing on another planet with no ability to help, no way to verify what was true, no option except continuing to survive in a place that has no interest in their survival. The psychological weight of that specific scenario, knowing everything you love, exists on a pale dot in the sky that is not getting any closer, has no human comparison. No explorer in history has faced that particular version of alone. Even the most isolated humans in history existed on the same planet as every other human. They shared an atmosphere. They shared a sky. Mars removes that entirely. None of this will stop it from happening, because this species has always moved toward the thing it was warned away from. Across oceans that sailors said dropped off at the edge. Into orbit on machines that had never carried a person before. Into the deepest trenches of a planet that wanted to crush everything sent down into them. Mars will be next. The only question is when. But Mars is different from every frontier that came before it in one specific way that does not get stated clearly enough. The first humans who go to Mars and do not come back will stand on red dirt beneath a pale alien sky and look up at a blue point of light smaller than a fingernail. Everything they ever knew on that dot. Every person they ever loved on that dot. Every sound and smell and sensation that belongs to the species, they came from all of it on that dot. Getting no closer. They will be the loneliest humans in the history of a species that has produced some extraordinarily lonely people. And they will have chosen it. If these are the questions you want to keep asking, if this is the reality you want to keep facing, subscribe right now. Every week we go further into the places most people look away from. Every week the truth gets harder and more necessary. You need to be here for what comes next.